Welcome to Producer Profile. Producer Profile is a show where we showcase some of the talented people who work behind the scenes in the entertainment, business, and local communities while making positive influences on the lives of others.
Welcome to Producer Profile. I'm Stella Winston.
And I'm Jim Hill.
Our guest today, Seydou Njoya, is a VCAT producer who focuses on the issues for Black veterans. And I'd like to welcome him to the show today. And welcome, Seydou.
Thank you, Stella.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And hopefully you'll be able to give us some perspective with the war going on, and you'll be able to enlighten us as to your viewpoint.
I hope so.
Yes.
So, what organization are you?
It's it's called Black Vets for Social Justice. I want me to give you a sort of
Yes,
background.
Well, please.
Actually, it really started 20 years ago, more so, and some of the fellas came out of an organization called the National Black United Front. They originally came out and they thought they had a need for black vets because they wasn't getting the real deal in this particular country. And so Brother Job, you'll see Joe Mascariki, started this organization, and then a few other fellas came in. And the purpose of it is to get benefits from black vets who've been in different wars, you know. And it started on Fulton Street with just a little, one little room with no running water, cold in this winter time, and you know, you get the drift. And it just started from there, and as it grew, then it became we was able to get another building, and then we started getting funds. But at the same time, Black Vets for Social Justice was also in the street fighting, against the issues that pertain to black folks. So it was, and then it became an organization that helped people in different aspects. You know, like some people came in from Vietnam War that was affected by the war, and they needed help, and they needed homes.
Now, what I want to know is the black vet, was he denied like basic medical care or benefits that other veterans received? How were they discriminated against?
Right. Well, it was, like in this country, and especially New York, it's a sort of subtle, excuse me. When you just go and ask for benefits, they things that they need from the war. They said, well, we trying to do this, or trying to do that, but at the same time, vets from other white vets go down and they ask for things and be no problem.
Okay.
But it's always a problem when it comes to black vets. So, for that matter, any neighborhood that's had black and Spanish, and that's always a problem. So they felt that we need an organization to speak to the needs of black vets. And in the meantime, even though most of them was in the Korean War and Vietnam War, and quite a few of them came out, in pretty bad shape. Of course, I was in the war before that. I won't say the Civil War, but First World War.
So you were in World War II?
I was in World War.
What was it like? Please share with us.
World War II?
Yeah, for the black military.
Oh, gee, that's okay. Then that's another story in itself. Well, I went in 1942, and in fact, actually, I was drafted, and then I chose to go to the Marine Corps. They gave you a choice, and I was stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And of course, during that time, we all know it was a Jim Crow army, right? Every aspect was Jim Crow. And so then we was shipped overseas. I was shipped to Pacific Island. And our fight was not with the folks over there, but our fight was with the white Marines. I mean, there was an author wrote a book called Suddenly There Was Thunder, and that reminded me so much of what the black Marines went through, because that was another aspect. They didn't want you in, they didn't want a part of it. In fact, when we would go on our way to the South Pacific on the trains, and of course, you know, the trains was separated, then you stop at any one of these places in the South, you couldn't go to any place.
So as a black veteran that experienced that, how do you reconcile going to fight for the United States of America, and then when you come back here, you know, you're discriminated against? I mean, you're fighting for the so-called, you know, democracy and liberty for all.
Yeah, you know, you've gone to the movie, especially when you were younger, and you would see the cowboys and Indians, and naturally the way they portray the cowboys and Indians, the Indian was always the bad guy. So right away, you're not even thinking about as being a black person. You identifying yourself with the cowboy.
Right.
And so
the good guy.
The good guy.
Right.
So then, and this is a society, I'm trying to make a comparison, and this is a society, in spite of the fact that we as black folks live in a segregated society, but we were going to fight the enemy that was attacking the country, not knowing that your enemy was right here. And so during the time that I went to, you know, overseas, we saw racism. In fact, you know, we used to just be going down on the highway, and the white Marines would call your names, and we had to fight them all the time. But at the same time, we were over there fighting for this so-called democracy, which we know it is not.
You know, Earl Tatum, in today's Amsterdam News, he wrote from all the way from the American Revolution to Iraq, and he said, into any future war, the black man is going to fight for this country very eloquently and everything else, but he's never gonna get his just due. Absolutely. I mean, and he said, and we need to start making a collective stand based on that.
Yeah, well, that is true, but sometimes I get confused with Tatum.
Okay.
For one time, he write one thing, and
so he flips back and
flips it back.
Okay,
You see what I
okay,
mean?
okay.
But if he said that, he's absolutely right. But then don't come back next week to see what he's saying.
Okay.
Once again, you know, because some of the things that he's, you know,
He doesn't
mentioned
stick
about
with
this, even about this Iraq war on one instance, you know, he was saying, you know, that's bad, but then we got to fight for our troops. But to me, that's contradiction.
Speaking
Okay.
out both sides of them.
Speaking of both sides.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna get back to the whole war
Okay.
discussion,
Right.
but
Okay.
we have a clip from one of the specials that you've done here at BCAT.
Yeah,
And
this-
just set it up for us a little bit, please.
Yeah. It's just that I did I had them as 3 from Black Vets Social Justice, the chairperson, and 2 other folks, and I was just interviewing them. You know, if you want to see a
Okay,
little, see a little bit of it.
So let's go to the videotape.
Back to the studio. Brother Joe, the new building, how long have it, you know, been there and started operating? You know, just about how long has it been there?
Well, the building has been there since the 1920s, and it's was a synagogue, and you know, moved on in terms of the spiritualness. And then we got the building, and we've been in it for about 6 months. We was renovating it for about a year and a half. One of the reasons it took so long, we didn't have all the money, so we've renovated in parts. So we're still renovating, but it's a beautiful building, and it's in a community that needs us, that has a lot of problems, that does a lot of shooting and firing often, and that the community is really glad that we're there, and we're going to continue to work that, the churches and other people that had the building did,
Well, I'm no stranger to black vets, and Sister Wendy, you've been around for quite some time, and I know you just been doing, as I know, just a fantastic job. And I'd just like to ask you your sort of role and how do you keep this thing going with Brother Job and the rest of the crew.
Well, I've been with Black Veterans for Social Justice now. This will be my 8th year. I just began my 8th year. And my job is, I'm the Chief of Administration at Black Vets. And basically, I'm in charge of running the operation of the organization, making sure that all the administrative duties of the organization is carried out. The paperwork, maintenance, making sure personnel are where they're supposed to be, scheduling. And it's been a challenging, rewarding, and a growing experience, one that I've truly, truly enjoyed. And I'm looking forward to, working with Job and the other constituents within Black Vets and moving it to the next level, that wherever the visionary intends for it to be.
Wherever next level would be awesome, right?
That's right.
And Dr. Parson, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Yes, and I know you have the duty of taking care of some of the folks who need a little help.
Yes.
So let's give me a little background how you were able to blend in with this beautiful organization.
Okay. Well, I've been a friend of the organization. I've been involved with Black Veterans for Social Justice since its incipience. I remember the event that Job put on. That was a kind of coming out of Black vets, and that was over 20 years ago. So I've been involved, even though now I don't live in New York like I used to. I live in Maryland, but we still keep in contact. And I've been involved for years, but my involvement this time really came as a result of the tragedy that occurred in New York City September 11th, when I got on the phone and asked Job if there was something I could do. I understand from the experience I have, my specialization, that people who go through these kinds of experiences, there's an impact, there's emotions that happens, there's problems with sleeping and being able to relax, there's irritability, there's all kinds of things people go through trying to make sense out of a tragedy like that. Job and many other people know my work with war veterans. Most people know me for that. I've helped work with children who've been traumatized in inner city, to inner city violence, and also survivors of other catastrophes like Oklahoma City. I was out there helping people cope when that happened. And then also in California as well, the earthquake that happened out there, Loma Prieta, it's called now. And so my expertise is to help people to recover and to go on with their lives, basically.
Yeah, I might even add,
You're watching Producer Profile.
Dr. Parson
and we
is
have, Seydou Njoya
has
of
part
the
of his
Black Veterans for Social Justice. Now, Seydou, you had Winnie McClinton, who's a black vet.
Mm-hmm.
What are the specific issues that face the black woman vet? Does she go through different issues than the male vet?
Well, not a little bit different, but of course she's not with the organization. I think she retired from it. But in fact, they go through even more organization because more problems, because it always seems that first of all it's a black as a whole gets the dirty part, and then the women, they're even worse, because there are so many women, as it was explained late on when we interview her, there are so many issues that the women are facing that was never resolved, with administration.
Like, for instance, what?
Well, a lot of women issues. I mean, the things that they need more so than than the men. That's women's so-called women's thing, but it's basically they're just discriminate more so than the men and getting things. Just like when they on a job per se, men get more money than they do and doing the same job, and things that they ask for while they're in the service, they don't get it as quick as the men do, because they feel that the women we can their issues is different, so we can deal with them later.
Okay.
Same thing we do when they're in the civilian life.
We're going to hear from the late Richard Barty. I've had my fun. He was well known throughout the borough of Brooklyn.
I know him very
Oh,
well.
really?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, he was a master entertainer, orator, motivator, and he was
Sharp.
a multi-winner of the Amateur Night at the Apollo. And he's famous for hosting the African Festival each summer at Boys and Girls High School.
See him every year.
Really?
At Boys and Girls. Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so
I was
we-
shocked when I heard.
Really?
That. Right.
So we have one of his last performances.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
So we're going to take a look at
Okay.
that.
In fact, before you do, I was that came from Sugar Hill, and I was part of there when that was taking place.
Okay.
And my brother there, he was with his camera.
Okay, great.
All right.
Creator gave me, then I'll do whatever else I can do. Get out the way so everybody else come on through. There's no such thing as dying. You just keep on moving in the spirit of foreverness. That's what a little something. African proverb says when you say somebody's name, once they're gone, they still live. Somebody say Ashe. Somebody say amen. Repeat after me, say I am the poem. Life is my book. Every day is my page for me to be on. Say amen. Say all right. Say it's all good. How you doing, Emma? Bless you, baby. Amen. I never, amen. Stay right there. Have my fun, don't get well no more. Said I have my fun, don't get well no more. Seems like my health is failing me, going down slow. Somebody write my mama, tell her to shape my man. Have paper, write my mama, tell her to shape my man. Tell her please forgive me, pray for my sins. Because I have my fun if I don't get well no more. Have my fun, baby, if I don't get well no more. Seems like my health is failing me, going down slow. Next train stop, look for my plane, we coming home. Next train stop, baby, look for my plane, we coming home. Now you don't see my body. All you
Now,
do
Seydou, you've been with the Black Veterans for Social Justice for a while. How long has it been,
I think
and what's involved with them now?
I think they've been about 22 years, 22 or 23 years.
Really?
Right. And the basic, they involve, well, actually three things. Were able to get good housing, create some old buildings, fix them up, some new buildings they took over, and so they have about 6 houses that's able to house vets, just for vets, and vets' families and kids and all over Bed-Stuy, and they also create jobs within the organization because before the Black Vets Social Justice had say 2 or 3 offices, but then they got together and bought this one big building that used to be a church in the heart of Bed-Stuy, and so they're able to create more jobs for folks to come in, and when folks come in for jobs, they're able to send them out on jobs. So it's and then also, like I said before, they also in the community continue to fight against racism and all kind of benefits for the folks who be a part of the organization. So it's in other words, now they are getting help funds from the state because after a while the state found out that this organization is something that should be in the community.
As a former warrior, what do you think about
warrior?
What do you think
you got good words for folks.
What do you think about this budget for the war that is supposed to be in Iraq? All this money going there.
Well. First of all, let's start in the beginning about this. First of all, it was an illegal war.
Okay.
The France, Russia, Japan, they say no. We go in diplomatic and find out what's going on. You see, the excuse that the United States made is that they got weapons of mass destruction.
Right. They were
See,
looking
that was their excuse to go into, because the basic thing was oil. I mean, all the world said no. The United States, that is white population, 73% of them support the war. A big whopping 40% of black folks, 40% support the war. 63% of Spanish supported the war. That in the United States. But throughout the world, everybody was against it.
Okay.
And then let me point this thing out. When they was worried about America being attacked, you see, France wasn't worried, Russia wasn't worried, Japan, and they all right round there. But now they're talking about, we didn't find the
weapons of mass
destruction,
right?
But here what they come up with now. They must have buried them before we got there. Now, how ridiculous. How stupid do they think people are? But the American people, that is the American white people, because they're in denial anyway, because then you think that this selected presidency, then they're going to go along with it. So all this, I mean, it's understandable if you're going to spend all this money for war, what's going to happen to your neighborhoods?
Right.
And we're going to be the one who's going to be the one who's going to hit hard with it. So it's the man, in my opinion, is crazy.
But are the veterans getting any of this money?
Huh?
Are you veterans going to get any of this
money?
war money? The billions and billions that they're going to spend on the army.
No. How are we going to get the money is spent?
In rebuilding Iraq. It's going to be
rebuilding
Bechtel
Iraq.
corporations, all the different corporations.
You see, before
whoever gets those contracts.
You see, before they even went to Iraq, they already had this plan. What's going to take place? In fact, this thing didn't just start. So they've been planning to do this for a long, long time to get in Iraq. Now, Korea. Now, go back to North Korea. North Korea said, yes, we got this. Yes, we got that. Why don't they attack?
Well, we have to end, say, to We have to continue this
Okay.
conversation.
Okay.
We have to continue.
Yeah, that just.
Thank you for coming to Producer Profile. It was very interesting.
thank-
Thank you for your point of view and
Thank you.
sharing with us.
Thank you.
You've been watching Producer Profile. I'm Stella Winston.
And I'm Jim Hill.
Until next time, goodbye.